Hey guys, today we're talking about my favorite deck of all time, and that is Synchron. I've been playing Synchron since the 5Ds era and tinkering with that deck ever since. And because of Revolution Synchron, we finally got what the deck needed, and that is a way to play around things like Ash, Imperm, and of course Nibiru. So we're gonna go ahead and show off some Synchron combos alongside the Adventure Engine, different end boards we can get, and then of course the deck itself. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know down below, and I'll make sure to answer them. But let's get right into the deck profile. Starting things off, we have our Synchron lineup: double Stardust, triple Rev, 2 Assault, and 1 Jet. Ratio wise, I find that 2 Stardust and 2 Assault leads to the least amount of bricks, while also guaranteeing that we always have at least 1 copy in our deck for our speeder plays. Revolution Synchron is the most important card in our deck. It alongside Right leads to our full combo under protection of Baron. We need to see this card maxed out. You always want to see this card in your opening hand. As for Jet Synchron, even though it can lead to the same combo board, I find that more than one is bricky. I want to avoid that as much as possible. You can run the overdrives, but what I find with the overdrives is that in the follow-up, I'm drawing into them, which I don't want, and there's really nothing left for me to summon with that Jet Synchron once the full combo is over. Next up, we got our Stardust package consisting of Stardust Trail and Stardust Worm. Next up, the one non-engine, non-hand trap monster in our lineup, Tier Element Shiren. Next up, onto the Adventure Engine: triple Enchantress, double Rider, triple Right, 1 Fateful, and 1 Draco. We want to see Right as much as possible, especially alongside our Revolution Synchron and our Jet Synchron. We're doubling up on Rider because we don't want to be milling it off tuning or a Shiren play on accident. You could double up on the Fateful for the same reason, but I find that often we're getting the Fateful onto the field before we do any milling. Next up, we got triple tuning. We want to see Revolution Synchron and Jet Synchron as often as possible. Next up, we got our Illumination. This card is an essential part of our combo. It helps buff up our level of Stardust Synchron, meaning that we can go into Amatara with it and Revolution Synchron. It sets up our Stardust Trail plays, meaning that we can go into our level 8s very easily. And of course, being searchable off Stardust Synchron means that it's just a free part of our combo. Next, we got Synchro Overtop. This card is searchable via Crimson Dragon and allows us to get into our Calamity board. Up next, we got our 7th copy of Right, our 4th copy of Revolution, and our 2nd copy of Jet Synchron, not counting the tunings. Extra consistency all around. Next up, we got our Manadium Reframing. We search this in our combo and guarantee that we're not going to be hit by things like Dark Ruler no more. Onto the staples: triple Ash, because it is Ash. Notice, it is not the Feet Ash. If you play the Feet Ash, I think you're degenerate, and I look down on you, and I think you deserve to be bullied. Next up, we got the Harpy's Feather Duster. Of course, with things like Labyrinth running around and all the power spells and traps and all the field spells running around, we need a way to clear them off the field to guarantee that our plays go through as much as we can, and Harpies is our best bet. And because our deck is obviously hand trap bait, we run the 2 triple Talons. Next up, we got Dark Ruler No More, because there are cards like Arise that turn our deck off completely, and we need to make sure that we can play through them. Finishing up the spells is our Called By. It's our Out to Ash, D-Shifter, Droll, and whatever non-Imperm hand trap we might have to fear. Finishing up the main deck is 3 Imperm. They hit a lot, but they're mostly here for a Rise hate. On to the extra deck, we got our Junk Speeder and our Beast as our 2 level 5s. Speeder is the heart and soul of the deck. I've waited so long for a format where Junk Speeder was protected by something like Baron or Herald, and because of Revolution Synchron, we finally have a way to access that. As for Beast, it's very easy to get a Beast onto the field because of our Revolution Synchron coming out at level 1 and our Adventure token being an Earth, meaning that sometimes you can just end on a field that's Baron and Nat Beast. Against certain decks like Runix, that's all you need. Up next, we got our 1 level 6 in Stardust Charge. You could run Tri-Edge, but the issue I have with Tri-Edge is that you're not always guaranteed the draw because of levels. With Stardust Charge, you're always guaranteed the draw, and because we're not running Chaos Angel, we don't need that light target. Up next, we got our 2 level 7s, Ancient Fairy and Black Rose. Ancient Fairy is for those times when we can't get access into our full combo and just have to settle for Revolution going level 7 and then level 1 into either Amatara or a Crystal Wing, and our Black Rose is from where we're going second, and we need to blow up the field with our Revolution Synchron and either our token or our Shiren. Next up, we got our Stardust package. You need the vanilla Stardust. It's very essential to all the full combos. It sets up things like Trail. It sets up things like your Jet Synchron adventure play. It's a card that we absolutely must be running. Axel is just a beautiful card in general. The rest of our level 8s are a Crystal Wing, an Amatara, and an Omega. In our deck, Omega gets to do a 2-card hand rip, Amatara fetches us our Solemn, and Crystal Wing is Crystal Wing for when we can't get out our other Omni Negate in Baron. Onto the level 10s, we have Baron and Dispater, and because we're running both of these level 10s, we can then run Crimson Dragon, and Crimson Dragon gives us access to our 2 boss monsters, our level 12s, Calamity and Blizzar. I feel like if you play it, you should feel shame inside because your opponent didn't get a turn. Not really sure what the appeal of a game is when your opponent doesn't get a turn, but I get it. I just feel like if you're playing that, you probably played Scythe Block and you're a terrible person and you should feel bad inside. And when you go to sleep at night, I hope you have bad dreams. I hope they're traumatic, and I hope you wake up in a cold sweat and you go to therapy and fix that problem. Starting things off, we activate our Rite of Aramasir. That puts Fateful Adventure onto the field and gives us our adventure token. Then we're just going to go ahead and normal summon our Revolution Synchron, activating the effect of Fateful Adventure. And we get to add or spell a trap with Fateful Adventure in its text to hand. That'll be our Draco back. Then we can activate the other effect of Fateful Adventure and go ahead and grab our Rider and then send Draco for cost. Of course, you can always just immediately search for the Griffin Rider. Once we have it in hand, we just go ahead and special summon it. So our field is our level 4 token, our level 7 Griffin Rider, and our level 3 Revolution Synchron. We're immediately going to go ahead and sync 10. Next up, we activate the effect of Revolution Synchron Engrave, we'll mill a card, and then special summon Rev to the field as a level 1 monster. And then of course we sync 5, and go into our Junk Speeder, and because we have Baron on the field, we're not worried about things like Imperm or Ash Blossom or Nibiru to ruin our day. We're then going to go ahead and summon our Stardust Synchron, our Revolution Synchron, our Assault, and our Jet. On summon, the effect of Stardust Synchron activates, and we get to add Stardust Illumination to hand. We're then immediately going to activate the Illumination and dump our Stardust Trail into the grave. The reason we want to do that first is because now we can go ahead and sync 6 with Speeder and Jet and go into Charge. Charge will give us a draw, and we draw a random card. If we had done the Illumination play after the charge, we risk drawing the Stardust Trail. Next up, we sync 8 with our Assault and our Charge Warrior and go into Axel Stardust Dragon. The effect of Axel activates and revives our Assault Synchron. Then we're going to activate the other effect of Axel Stardust, tribute itself, and bring out Stardust Dragon. Then immediately sync as part of the effect and go into Dispater. And then, because we tributed a monster, the effect of Stardust Trail activates and we get to summon it to the field. Then we're going to go ahead and sync 8 with our Trail and our Stardust Synchron and go into Omega. Because Trail was used for its effect, we have to banish it. Then we get to activate the effect of Omega, banish it to rip a card from our opponent's hand, activate the effect of Dispater, bring back our Omega, Omega effect once again, ripping a second card from our opponent. Then, using the card that we drew off Charge Warrior, we get to activate the effect of Jet Synchron. Now, we're immediately going to tribute this Jet Synchron and bring out Stardust Synchron in its place. Then we'll activate the effect of Illumination Engrave, banishing it, making Stardust Synchron a level 5. And then we're going to go ahead and sync 8 with our 2 tuners into Amatera. Effect of Amatera activates, and we get to add a Manadium Speller Trap to our hand, and we're going to choose Reframing, meaning that our end board is a Baron, a Dispater, and a Reframing, plus whatever else you have in hand. Now with Reframing, we are no longer afraid of Dark Ruler no more, or any other power spells that aren't named Spookali. Our next play starts off very similar, but takes a very big detour. So, we're going to have our generic field here like we did last time, activate Illumination, send Trial to the grave, and here's where things take off differently. We're then going to take our Assault Synchron and our Jet Speeder and go ahead and Synchro Summon our Ancient Fairy. Now we're going to go ahead and take our Jet Synchron and our Ancient Fairy and go into our level 8 Axel Stardust. Effect of Axel will activate and we'll bring back our Assault. And then we're going to go ahead and activate the effect of Axel, bring out our Stardust, and then immediately Synchro Summon with our Stardust Synchron into the Crimson Dragon. Then because we tributed a monster, our Trail will bounce back to the field, and then the effect of Crimson Dragon activates, giving us Synchro Overtop. Next up, we'll activate the effect of Crimson Dragon, targeting our Baron. It'll go back to the extra deck, and in its place, we'll get our Bestial Dispater. Next up, we're just going to go ahead and sync off our Assault and our Dispater, and go right back into our Crimson Dragon. Then we'll go ahead and tribute our Revolution to bring back our Stardust Synchron, and sync 8 with Synchron and Trail. That'll give us our Amatera, which in turn fetches us our Reframing. Next up, we'll activate Synchro Overtop, and we get to revive our 3 level 7 or 8 dragons. Then we activate the effect of Illumination Engrave, banish it, targeting either one of our Stardust monsters and making it level 2. And then we will sync 12 with our 3 dragons and Amatera into our Cosmic Blazar. Then we will set our Reframing. This way on our opponent's turn, we can go ahead and protect our monsters with Reframing, guaranteeing that our Crimson Dragon can target our Blazar to bring out Calamity and thus be a degenerate player. Alright, that was the deck profile. If you guys have any comments or questions, let me know down below and I'll make sure to answer them as soon as possible. Until next time, see ya.